Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here in the Jesus-centered Life Conference 2021. Thank you to Miss Queenie Tan for inviting me to speak. She's from Paref Southcrest School. Today I want to share with you about the joy of designing sacred spaces. My name is Stephanie Gilles. I am an architect by profession. And architecture has always fascinated me. From a concept to a two-dimensional drawing to a three-dimensional reality, you create that space. It's something wonderful. Like a piece of art, for example, a painting. A painter put paint and colors on a canvas is a two-dimensional reality, but of course it's a wonder of beauty. But in this case, you do not just behold an object, you enter that space. I decided to take up architecture because of this fascination for space, for beauty, for design, for creating so many marvelous works of art and architecture. And so I went through my university studies at the University of the Philippines in Diliman, College of Architecture. And then some years later, I also decided to take masters in architecture. But prior to that, when I graduated, I was going to take the board exam after 2 years, which is normally the standard. After you graduate, you have 2 years of apprenticeship, and then you take the board exam, the licensure exam for architects. Before I finished the 2 years, someone approached me and said that you are going to the Roman College. I said, what? The Roman College, where the Father is, and, the Roman College of Holy Mary. I said, wow, that's so exciting. And, the prospect of seeing Rome, the Eternal City, it was something that was beyond me. And so, of course, I said, yes, by all means, I'm going to advance taking the board exam. And then a few months after that, I flew to Rome. It was my first time to leave the country, actually. So I was still a young graduate of architecture exploring the world. When I reached Rome, the first thing I saw, I remember, was the baths of Caracalla. And I said, wow, this is something that you just study from your history books. And then I saw St. Peter's Basilica and the Pantheon and the Colosseum. So I was really so overwhelmed. I mean, imagine an architecture student or graduate seeing all those buildings come alive as if they pop out of a magazine. So that was my excitement. That was how I was enjoying all of the wonders of art and architecture in the Eternal City. And then in our first year, because I studied for 3 years, my first year, I remember we were given the chance to present in a festival of songs and dances and poems in front of the Holy Father, now Saint John Paul II. And of course, it was my first time to see him up close like that. And I remember we presented a native dance from the Philippines. And so I told him that I come from the Philippines and I asked for your blessing. So there's a photo of us, and he was making the sign of the cross on my forehead. So that was the first time. The second time was when I was in the third year, and a few months later that I was supposed to go back to the Philippines. So it was during the UNIV conference, International University Conference. And we presented the song, and after that, two of us went to the Pope, and so I told him, Holy Father, in a few months I will be going back to the Philippines, and there I hope to be a support for the church in the Orient. So I remember that, saying that so passionately. I want to be a support for the church in the Orient. And then, I didn't expect that he was going to answer. The Holy Father said, yes, 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 in his deep voice, yes, yes, yes. In fact, I'm looking forward to my trip there. I said, what? So my eyes really, I think my eyes popped out and said, what? Because I never heard about the Holy Father going to Asia. Then it was only a year later that we found out, because of the World Youth Day, that the Holy Father, after going to Denver, so that was 1992 when he told me that. 1993, he went to Denver, and there it was announced that the next World Youth Day was going to be the Philippines, Manila. So I said, imagine the Holy Father told me in advance of everyone else that he was going to the Philippines. So really, I was ecstatic, and I couldn't forget what he told me. And then I said, when are you coming? And then he said, he patted me on my, here, said, yes. It's like, don't worry, you will know in due time. And then 3 weeks after, that was May 17 of 1992, I was asked to offer something to the Holy Father during the Mass of the Beatification of Saint Jose Maria Escriva. I said, my gosh, what a privilege. But then the first thing I thought, don't you want to give others a chance? No, because I just had my chance like 3 weeks ago. And then I was told, well, in Spanish, you say, a quien le toca, le toca. It's like, if it's for you, it's for you. No? So of course, I was very grateful. And then in the Mass, I offered that ball with corals. And then, so I thanked the Holy Father for the beatification, which is for the good of the church. And then he said, God bless you. So those were the three wonderful close encounters with John Paul II. I would say that the Holy Father played an important role in my love for liturgical architecture, because when I was in Rome, I really marveled at all the cathedrals, basilicas, all the sacred spaces, the churches, wonderful testimonies of, man's highest aspirations to give the glory back to God. Gothic, verticality, all those spires, all those Baroque and Romanesque, all of that. And I remember my brother was telling me, since you don't have a camera, you have to store everything in your hard drive, which was my memory. So I had a photographic memory, and I said, hey, I memorized this detail and that one. Such that when I came back to the Philippines, I had the assignment of helping in a foundation that had chapels in the centers. So that was where I learned the basics of designing chapels, oratories. And then I was given several jobs, helping in centers, designing. And fast forward to 2 decades after, I was invited to speak about modern liturgical architecture in the Biennial Convention for Church Heritage Practitioners. It was organized by the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. I said it was my first time to be in front of, priests and nuns and bishops, and of course laymen, mostly architects and parish pastoral council members. So I talked to them about designing chapels and malls because that was already my forte. I designed several chapels inside shopping malls, huge, like it could fit 2,000, 1,000 people, just like a cathedral or a basilica. In that convention, I met with 3 other friends, liturgical architect friends, and we saw the need to fill in a vacuum. We saw that priests and seminarians or bishops, some of them had to be taught the basics of liturgical and technical design. So we thought, why don't we do something to help them? So we thought about why don't we start giving classes like that? No? Or let's form a group of liturgical architects that we can eventually impart to seminarians, to priests or bishops, our knowledge about liturgical design. And that's how Gold and UAP class started. I'll show you a video that encapsulates how we conceptualized it, how it started, so the genesis and the development. And you will see it's such a marvel because who are we? We're just 4 friends. And of course, it's God who was pushing us to do this, to do that, to talk to this bishop, to talk to this priest, the liturgist of the Diocese of Manila, the bishop of the Diocese of Cubao, eventually we were 3 because one of them got so busy that there were just 3 of us. We called ourselves the Tres Marias, the 3 girls who launched a conference, Guild of Liturgical Designers conference in 2018. And then we launched another conference in 2020. This time it was virtual via Zoom. But then it's so wonderful to see the development of all these. Now we're celebrating 4 years since we first established it as a group.
Here's a backgrounder on the Guild of Liturgical Designers, GOLD. Who we are, what we do, what is our mission, what is the rationale and how is it distinguished or differentiated from the United Architects of the Philippines, Committee on Liturgical Architecture and Sacred Spaces, UAP class. The logo of GOLD contains the 3 important letters spelt God, while the L in the white is the liturgical designer striving to bring the cross to the top of all his works. The O represents the church in the world, and the church permeated by the presence of the Holy Spirit. GOLD is a multidisciplinary group of architects, engineers, contractors, painters, sculptors, artists, researchers, professors, and skilled laborers whose work is related to the design and building of churches, chapels, and other related sacred spaces, columbries, convents, seminaries, memorial parks, and others. During Holy Week of 2017, on Holy Thursday, April the 13th, while on Visita Iglesia to Santo Domingo Church, the special mission to found and start this group of GOLD UAP class was confirmed to architect Stephanie Gilles, who together with a group of friends, architect Aurora Berba Bernopio, architect Mary Ragelin Busmente, and architect Roy de Guzman, carried out its initial execution. Its inception happened during the CBCP Biennial Convention for Church Heritage Practitioners held in Sorsogon in June of 2015, where the four friends met and the seed was planted as they discovered the need to fill a vacuum, which was to help educate the clergy in the basic tenets of liturgical design from the technical viewpoint. The core group of UAP class and Gold first met on Holy Saturday, April the 15th, 2017, at the Amici restaurant along Thomas Morito Avenue, and enthusiastically drew up the objectives, plans and projects for short-term, mid-term and long-term. The objectives of Gold are first, to help chaplains and parish priests, as well as owners of chapels, understand the basic tenets and parameters of liturgical design, hoping to contribute to the learning and experience of those whose task it is to be custodians of God's house. And second, to extend technical assistance to them in a way that would be beneficial to maintain and uplift the standards of liturgical arts and architecture in our beloved country that has been blessed with numerous religious structures, having received the mission to be the vanguard of the faith in Asia. Gold was formally launched on the occasion of the blessing of landmark Trinoma Chapel by Bishop Ernesto Hongchoko on September 8, 2017. Parallel to Gold is an affiliate group of architects from the United Architects of Philippine Committee on Liturgical Architecture and Sacred Spaces. Their common ground, where they intersect, is the section composed of liturgical architects and sacred space designers. The UAP class logo contains the globe as it embodies the universal commonalities in the aspirations of those involved in sacred space design, in a unity as reflected in the silhouette of three representative religions: the Buddhist temple, the Catholic Church, and the Muslim mosque. The objective of this organization are first to offer capacity building courses, either through UAP, PDC, or through UAP class seminars, which entail producing modules on liturgical guidelines similar to those of the Paul VI Institute of Liturgy, the CBCP, Commission on Liturgy, the Committee on Church Heritage, and liturgical spaces for interested professionals and allied service providers, and second, to offer initial technical services, assessment of church structures, and design for renovation, retrofitting, or new structures in the form of design charrettes with per diamond travel allowances to be provided by client for bishops, parish priests, private owners of chapels. It is our deepest aspiration that together we shall work towards the appreciation of beauty through liturgical and sacred space design, a shining reflection of the beauty of the Almighty, with the divine architect designing his own house using the sacred space designer as a humble instrument.
Really awesome, because sometimes, when I design a chapel, I marvel at the fact that, you built a sacred space to facilitate the communication of other people with God. So you have built a facility to make them get closer to God. And I see myself as a staunch defender of the advocacy that our sacred spaces should be designed to evoke dignity and solemnity, apart from the parameters of verticality, permanence, and iconography. That should facilitate communication of the beholder with God Himself. And you experience a certain joy, with that. It's so fulfilling. I mean, designing a chapel is much more fulfilling than, designing a commercial space or an office building. It's different. It's a mission, it's an advocacy, and it's a vocation to be a liturgical architect. And it's truly satisfying to experience that with the fruit of prayer and the work of your hands, you're able to bring people literally closer to Him, to undergo deep and lasting conversion, spiritual experiences that would last a lifetime. And so I conclude my short talk, sharing the joy of designing sacred spaces, because eventually whatever you do, the work of your hands is the reflection of, a shining reflection of that beauty. And you see that it is the divine architect himself who is designing his own house with the community, using us as a humble instrument.